Hey, everybody, and welcome to our deep dive today. We are going to be talking about cybersecurity.
Ooh, exciting.
It is exciting,
Yeah.
but we're not just talking about the techie stuff, you
No.
know?
Yeah.
We're going to kind of go behind the scenes and look at what a company's board of directors,
Right.
what their role is in all of this cybersecurity stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Mhm.
Because we're going beyond, firewalls and all that stuff.
Yeah, all the passwords, yeah.
Exactly. And looking at how cybersecurity is really a core business risk.
It is a core business risk, and that's what's so interesting about this Deloitte report that we're looking at today,
Yeah.
called The Changing Role of the Board on Cybersecurity. They get some real-world examples.
Right, yeah.
It's not just all theory and stuff.
Yeah.
So get ready, because we're going to find out what really happens in those board meetings when they're talking about cybersecurity.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and the report really emphasizes that cybersecurity, it's no longer just an IT issue.
Right.
It's a strategic business risk that can really impact a company's, bottom line
Oh, for sure.
reputation, everything.
Yeah, and they have some really shocking examples in here.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Like, remember the WannaCry ransomware attack?
Oh, yeah, a few years back.
Billions of dollars.
Globally.
Yeah,
It's incredible. And it wasn't just big companies.
Right.
I mean, this affected hospitals and schools.
That's scary.
Government agencies. It was really scary.
Yeah.
Crippled.
And it really, it highlighted how interconnected we all are,
Yes.
digitally, and how vulnerable we all are.
Absolutely. And so cybersecurity is relevant to pretty much everyone, right? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
The companies you interact with every day, your bank, your favorite online store.
Healthcare provider.
Yeah, healthcare, that's a big one.
Yeah, so it's important that boards have a firm grasp of the potential consequences,
Yes.
of a cyber attack.
Oh, absolutely. And the report actually gives this crazy example of an American telecom giant that had to accept a $350 million discount
Wow.
on an acquisition because the target company had suffered a data breach.
Wow, that's a huge hit.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
It really highlights the financial impact, that a cyber attack can have.
It's not just the immediate cost either.
No.
There's long-term damage to a company's reputation,
Of course.
customer trust, all that.
Yeah, you lose that trust. It's hard to get back.
It is hard to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the report goes on to talk about how the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, gosh. Don't get me started.
I know, right?
Talk about amplified risks.
Yeah, and how everything suddenly shifted online,
Oh, my gosh. It was overnight.
I know, it felt like it, right?
Yeah, and all that sensitive data just flying around.
I know.
And everyone working from home on these less secure networks.
Right, and so the report is saying that this rapid digitalization basically expanded the attack surface for cyber criminals.
Exactly. And they've got some pretty scary statistics to back that up, too.
Right.
Like, for example, over 80% of organizations in India
Wow.
have reported being targeted by ransomware attacks.
So think about that. If you're working in India or doing business with Indian companies,
Yeah.
chances are you've already been in the crosshairs of a cyber attack.
It's a little scary. Right. And that's why the report emphasizes that just being aware of the risks,
Right.
it's not enough.
It's not enough.
You have to be proactive in addressing these threats.
You got to get ahead of it.
You have to.
Yeah. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
Because the report says that regulatory bodies like SEBI and RBI in India
Okay.
are starting to incorporate cybersecurity requirements into their guidelines.
So it's becoming less about should we do this?
Yeah.
And more about we have to do this.
Exactly.
I like
Yeah. And that's a shift that we're seeing globally.
Yeah.
It's not just in India.
Right. It's a recognition that cybersecurity is not just this technical issue.
Right.
It's a critical part of good governance and risk management.
It is. And so the pressure is on, right?
Yeah.
So what does the Deloitte report suggest that boards actually DO about all of this?
Well, they offer a roadmap,
Okay.
a set of practical recommendations to help manage that cyber risk.
I like it.
And these recommendations go beyond the typical IT checklist.
Okay.
It's about integrating cybersecurity into a company's overall strategy.
Okay. So big picture.
Big picture, not just quick fixes.
Yeah. So one of their key recommendations is the adoption of a cybersecurity framework.
Yes.
So what's that?
Well, think of it as a blueprint for your company's cyber defenses.
Okay.
It helps to prioritize and structure your approach.
So it's like having a solid game plan instead of just reacting to whatever comes your way.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay. And then they emphasize the importance of protecting your company's crown jewels.
I love that term.
Crown jewels. What does that even mean in the context of cybersecurity?
It's a great way to think about it. So essentially it means identifying and safeguarding the most critical assets in your organization the data systems and processes that, if compromised, would cause the most damage.
So it's understanding what matters most
Yeah,
and putting the strongest defenses around those key assets.
exactly.
Okay, so it's about prioritizing resources and focusing on the areas where a cyber attack would have the biggest impact.
You got it.
Okay, and then another key recommendation is the development of cyber talent within the organization.
Yes, this is a big one.
So what does that mean?
So it's about building a team with the right expertise
Okay.
to navigate this incredibly complex landscape, right? You need people who understand the technology, the threats, and how to mitigate that risk.
Because you can't just outsource cybersecurity completely, can you?
No, you can't. You need people in-house who really understand the company's specific risks
Right.
and vulnerabilities.
But how can companies attract and retain top cybersecurity professionals?
That's a great question.
Because it's a competitive job market out there.
It is. It is. And it's something that boards really need to be discussing. And it's not just about offering, the best salaries anymore. It's about creating a culture that values that cybersecurity expertise.
So creating an environment where those professionals feel valued and empowered.
Exactly. And it goes hand in hand with the report's emphasis on this holistic enterprise-level security.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So it means moving beyond a siloed approach
Okay.
and integrating cybersecurity across all departments
Oh, okay.
and operations.
Got it.
So instead of just having a cybersecurity team off in a corner somewhere,
Right.
it's about making sure that everyone in the company understands their role in protecting the organization.
So it's creating a culture of cybersecurity where everyone is aware
Everyone?
of the risks
Yes.
and follows best practices.
And that brings us to another key recommendation.
Which is,
Robust reporting mechanisms.
what does that mean?
It means ensuring regular and transparent communication about cyber risks and incidents to the board. So they need clear, concise information to make good decisions and to hold the management team accountable.
So it's about creating a feedback loop where the board is getting regular updates.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good and bad.
Yes. Good and bad. You need to know it all.
Yeah, and the report goes on to talk about the more technical aspects of cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Like cloud-based security solutions and the zero trust model.
Oh, yeah. Those are fun.
I know those sound pretty high-tech, so let's dive into those in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. So the zero trust model, you want to know more about that?
Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's really a shift in cybersecurity thinking.
Okay.
So instead of assuming everything inside your network is safe,
Right.
you kind of treat every user and every device with suspicion.
Okay, so instead of focusing on just keeping the bad guys OUT,
Right.
you're acknowledging that threats can also come from inside.
Exactly. And that's especially relevant today, right?
Yeah.
With all this remote work and cloud computing.
Yeah, people bringing their own devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except bring your own device.
Yeah.
So those traditional security perimeters, they're kind of meaningless.
Right, they are, because think about it.
Yeah.
If you're working from a coffee shop,
Yeah.
using your personal phone to access company data,
Right.
it doesn't really matter about that perimeter anymore.
So how does the zero trust model address that?
Well, it verifies every single request,
Okay.
no matter where it originates.
So it's constantly checking
What's up with
credentials,
monitor activity?
making sure that only authorized users have access to that sensitive data.
Exactly.
So it's like having a security guard who checks everyone's ID,
I like that.
even if they're already inside the building.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
But that sounds kind of cumbersome, doesn't it?
Well, it can be, but the technology is getting more sophisticated.
Okay.
We're talking about things like multi-factor authentication,
Yeah.
behavioral analytics, and even AI.
So it's not just about making things more difficult for users.
Right.
It's using technology to be more intelligent.
Exactly, more adaptive.
About
And the Deloitte report highlights how this zero trust approach
yeah.
is becoming so important as businesses move to the cloud.
Because in a cloud environment, your data isn't just sitting on your own server anymore.
It's out there.
Right.
So you need a more dynamic approach to security.
Makes sense.
And the report also goes into cloud-delivered security services.
So those are like third-party providers that host and manage security solutions.
Exactly, often in the cloud.
So instead of building and maintaining your own security infrastructure, you can tap into these specialized services.
That are constantly updated and monitored by experts.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially for smaller companies
Yeah.
who don't have the resources to build those teams themselves.
Right.
Now, the report also gets pretty specific with some questions
Yeah, they do.
that boards should be asking.
To really kind of assess their company's cybersecurity posture.
Yeah, like what?
Okay, so like one question is, are cyber-related matters looked at individually at the enterprise level?
So it's about understanding if the board is taking that big picture, holistic view we talked about.
Exactly. It can't just be a siloed IT issue.
Makes sense.
Another one is, has management evaluated the legal and regulatory implications of cyber risks?
Oh, that's a big one.
It's a big one because the legal and regulatory landscape,
It's always changing.
it changes all the time. It's complicated.
So boards really need to understand their responsibilities if there is a breach.
Absolutely. It's not just about protecting data. It's
Right.
about compliance and mitigating the risk of fines and lawsuits.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
And they even get into the technical details.
Oh, yeah.
Like what is the most common type of cyber attack noted?
Because you have to understand the specific threats to your organization
Right.
to build effective defenses.
It's about being strategic, right?
Exactly.
Focusing the resources where they'll have the most impact.
And then they even ask about using AI and machine learning in threat detection.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cutting edge.
It is cutting edge, and they're becoming really important because they can analyze tons of data
To detect and respond to threats really quickly.
much faster than humans can.
So it's about using technology to augment human capabilities.
Absolutely. And to stay ahead of all those evolving threats.
It's like a digital arms race.
Yeah, you could say that.
But it's not Jay Thust about the technology, is it?
No, it's not. The report emphasizes the human element.
Okay.
People are often the weakest link.
Because even with the most sophisticated systems, someone can still fall for a phishing scam.
Oh, yeah. Or click on a bad link.
That's why they talk about human layer security.
Yes, HLS.
For those who haven't heard that term, what does it really mean?
Well, it's about addressing those human vulnerabilities,
Okay.
training employees,
Right.
raising awareness about threats, and creating a culture.
Where security is everyone's responsibility.
Everyone's.
Love that.
It's about making people part of the solution,
Not the victim.
not the victim exactly.
Yeah. And the report also highlights cybersecurity training
Yes.
for board members themselves.
Right. They don't need to be experts.
But they need to understand the key concepts, the risks, and best practices.
Exactly.
And it's not just technical knowledge, is it?
No, it's about strategic implications of those decisions.
And how they align with the company's goals.
Exactly. And that leads to another question.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
With board meetings increasingly being held virtually, how do you ensure the privacy of the meetings?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because we're all living our lives online now.
Even board meetings.
Yeah.
So we're all using video conferencing platforms,
Sharing documents.
accessing sensitive information remotely.
So you have to make sure those discussions are secure and confidential.
It's not just about protecting what's said in the meetings.
Right.
It's also about protecting who's in the meeting.
Yes. And preventing unauthorized access.
And then they even go beyond the company itself.
Yeah, they do.
And look at the geopolitical landscape.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
They ask, do you see a change in the buying decisions of management for cyber solutions based on the geopolitical risk landscape?
So they're highlighting how cybersecurity is really interconnected with global events.
Absolutely. And political tensions.
Because cyber attacks can come from anywhere, right?
From anywhere.
And the motivations behind those attacks can be pretty complex.
Oh, yeah. They can be influenced by international relations.
All sorts of things.
And political agendas.
Yeah.
It's a big world out there.
So boards need to be aware of those geopolitical risks
Yes.
and how they might impact their company's cybersecurity.
Absolutely. You got to be prepared
Yeah.
for potential disruptions or targeted attacks.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here, from the zero trust model to human layer security to regulations and geopolitics.
Phew.
It's clear that a board's role in cybersecurity is very complex.
It is.
It's multifaceted.
But the good news is
Yep.
the Deloitte report gives us a roadmap
Okay.
to navigate this terrain.
Now, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What does the report say about the future
Yeah.
of cybersecurity?
That's a great question.
So we've talked about, the current state of cybersecurity
Yeah.
and the specific actions boards can take.
Right.
But what about the big picture?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does the future hold for all this?
That's a great question.
And how can boards prepare?
Well, the Deloitte report actually gets into that.
Oh, good.
It shifts from those immediate actions to the long game.
Okay.
And it emphasizes that the future of cybersecurity, it really hinges on being proactive and adaptable.
I like that.
They have this term they use, secure by design.
Secure by design. I like that.
Yeah, it sounds good, right?
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean?
Yeah, what does it mean in practice?
Well, it means kind of weaving security into the very DNA of an organization.
Oh, wow.
Right, so it's not an afterthought.
Okay.
It's not a separate department.
Right.
Cybersecurity is baked into every business decision, every process, every technology
From the very beginning.
from day one.
I see.
So you're anticipating threats and building defenses before they even emerge.
Instead of just reacting to them after the fact.
Exactly, you're getting ahead of it.
So where does the board fit into all of this secure by design future?
Well, the report says boards have a very crucial role in championing this shift.
Okay.
They need to set the tone at the top,
Okay.
make it clear that cybersecurity is a top priority for everyone.
Not just the IT department.
Not just IT, it's got to be everybody.
So it's about leadership and setting that right example.
It is, and it's about fostering that culture
Right.
of open communication
Right.
where people feel comfortable reporting risks.
Without being blamed for it.
Exactly, you need to be able to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think creating that culture of cybersecurity is really the key.
Yeah, I think so too.
The technology is important,
Of course.
but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's the people that will make or break your security.
That brings us back to that human layer security.
Yeah,
It's about empowering everyone to be a defender, not a victim.
exactly. And that empowerment comes from education awareness
Yeah.
and that sense of shared responsibility.
So it's not just about, having their technical skills.
Right.
It's about creating a mindset
A mindset.
where everyone understands the importance of this and feels confident
Yeah.
that they can actually contribute
Yes.
to a more secure environment.
And Deloitte also talks about being agile.
Agile. Okay.
Yeah. In the face of all these evolving threats.
Right, because things are always changing.
Always change. So, cybersecurity, it's not a one-time fix.
Right.
It's ongoing.
It's got to be continuous.
You got to adapt and improve all the time.
So staying ahead of the curve,
Huh.
constantly learning,
Yes.
being ready to adjust strategies as new threats emerge.
Absolutely. That's the key.
The cyber threat landscape, it's not static.
No, it's dynamic.
It's always evolving.
It's like a living thing. It just keeps changing.
So what can boards do?
Well, they need to ask the right questions. Deloitte suggests that they should be challenging the management team
Okay.
to think ahead,
Okay.
anticipate those potential threats,
Yeah.
and explore new and innovative security solutions.
So being proactive, pushing for that forward-looking approach.
Yes, exactly. And making sure the company has a process for reviewing
Yeah.
and updating its cybersecurity strategy all the time.
It can't just be a one-and-done thing.
No, it can't. It's a process.
Okay.
Cybersecurity is a process.
Yeah.
And that's where the board's oversight is so crucial.
Okay.
They need to be the champions of continuous improvement,
I see.
making sure that cybersecurity is a priority even when other business things are competing for attention.
Right.
It's tough. It's a balancing act.
It is. We've gone really deep on this one.
We have.
From the immediate actions that boards can take to this long-term vision of a secure by design future.
Yeah.
It's clear that cybersecurity is not just an IT issue.
No, it's not.
It's a strategic imperative for every organization,
It really is.
and the board plays a pivotal role.
They do. They're leading the charge.
And we hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and the tools
Yeah.
to start those important conversations.
In your own organizations, remember, it's not just about technology.
Oh.
It's about awareness, vigilance,
Yeah.
and commitment to building that culture of cybersecurity
From the ground up.
from the ground up.
So as you go about your day, think about the organizations you interact with.
Yeah. Your bank, your favorite online store.
Your healthcare provider.
Yeah, think about them. How confident are you in their cybersecurity practices?
Yeah. What questions would you ask if you were on their board of directors?
Yeah, this deep dive has given you the knowledge to start asking those questions.
And demanding better cybersecurity from those organizations?
Yes, hold them accountable.
That hold your data.
That's what it's all about.
That's what the deep dive is all about.
Empowering you with information.
So you can navigate this crazy complex world
And demand better.
from the companies that impact your life. Thanks for joining us on the cybersecurity adventure.
It's been fun.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.